Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Qur'an girl here, and I wanted to review with you what we've gone over so far. We've been doing Alaqaat Al Huroof, and the rules that we've learned so far are Harfaan Mutajaanisaan, where letters are the same. Same means same makhraj, same sifat, same letter, right? And the rule that we use is idgham. And for examples, we did the words, let's see, we did yudrikkum and waqad dakhalu, right? It's almost like the first one disappears, the first letter with the sukoon disappears, and we're just pronouncing the second letter, which is the same as the first, as if it has a shadda, right? Yudrikkum and waqad dakhalu. Right? So that's the Harfaan Mutajaanisaan. Then we did Harfaan Mutajaanisaan, and we said Mutajaanisaan means that they are similar. So basically, they have the same makhraj, but some of their sifat differ, right? And examples of those were seven. We talked about 7 different categories. There's actually 8, and we're going to go over that 8th one today because the 8th one is contested. According to Hafsa and Asim, it is Mutajaanisaan. According to others, it isn't. So because the scholars differ, we haven't talked about it yet, but we're going to do that today and continue on from the last video. But just to recap, what we did in the last video with Harfaan and Mutajaanisaan is we talked about Mutajaanisaan is basically where they are similar. The makhraj is the same, but the sifat are not always, not all the sifat are the same. So examples of that, and in all those cases we do idgham kamil, except for one of those cases, and that one case is where a tafkhim letter comes before a tarqiq letter, ta, ta, right? For example, ta, ta, the example would be basatta, basatta. You're not going to say basatta, you're going to say basatta, basatta. So you hear a little bit of the tafkhim to show that there was a tafkhim letter before. In all the other examples where we had, so the examples that we had before were, we just talked about the ta and the ta, right? Was number 1 and then number 2, and so this was the only one that was idgham naqis, okay? So I'll put an N right there for naqis. The rest are all going to be idgham kamil. So we have ta and ta, فآمنت طائفة, right? We just go straight into the ta sound. The next one is, let's see, let's do ta and da next. Ta and da, right? The example of that was أثقل الدعو, أثقل الدعو. Then we had number 4 was the opposite of this, da and da. And the example we gave was قد تبين, قد تبين. No dal sound there, and certainly no qalqala either. Then we said the 5th one was, so we've done ta, 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 da, da, ta. Now we're going to do the, and the example for that was إذ ظلمتم, إذ ظلمتم. Again, because of complete idgham, you're just seeing the la. Then we had number 6, which was the, and sorry, tha and the, and that one was يلهث ذلك, يلهث ذلك. You're not going to say يلهث ذلك. Nope, you're going to just say يلهث ذلك. No, humps there. يلهث ذلك. Oops, there's the dot. And then we also talked about number 7 last time, which was ba and mim. And ba and mim example would be أركب معنا, أركب معنا, أركب معنا. So you're not hearing the ba, neither the qalqal after ba, you're just going straight into the meme. أركب معنا. Alright? Now, we said that there was an eighth, and the eighth, I think I have my Arabic numbers right. I can't remember if, I'm always messed up between the 7 and the 8, and I think 8 is with it downward, I think. Yes. No, I think it's the other way. I think 7 is with it down, right? And 8 is with it up. Alright, so for number 8, we have Ra and Lam. Alright, Ra, sorry, the other way around. Oopsie. I'm thinking Yar Malum, so it's actually Lam and Ra. Alright, so with Lam and Ra, let's see what example do we have here. وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. وَقُلْ رَبِّي. So you're not going to say وَقُلْ رَبِّي. No, you're going to say وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, according to Harfaan Mutajaanisaan. So this would be the 8th rule of Al Mutaqaaribaan. Now, of Al Mutajaanisaan. I'm skipping ahead of myself. So these are all the rules of Mutajaanisaan. Now, when we talk about the next 2 rules, which are going to be Mutaqaaribaan and Mutabaaidaan, okay, let's see. And the reason that I accidentally said Mutaqaaribaan is because some scholars believe the Lam and the Ra are Mutaqaaribaan. Now, Mutaqaaribaan and the reason they think that is because, remember, you have the takrir, not the takrir, sorry. The takrir is where you pronounce the Ra with a light trill, right? No, I'm talking about the sifa that is inhiraf, right? Inhiraf, if you remember, you have it with the Nam and with the Ra, because they are being blocked from a certain point where you start the sound from, and so they come out of a different place. Do you remember inhiraf, the lamra? So that's why, because of those, some scholars believe that they are mutaqaariban. But according to Hafs and Asim and Tariqa Shatibiyya, they are mutajaanisaan, the lam and ra. Now, what can make you best explain mutaqaariban and mutabaaidaan, which are the next 2 that we are going to learn? I'll write them here. Mutaqaaribaan comes from the word qareeb, which means close. Okay? That means close. And mutabaaidaan comes from the word ba'id, which means far. Okay? Really simple, actually, honestly, really simple. For example, you know that a hamza is nowhere near a meme, right? Because where does meme come from? Right? We say it comes from the shafatan, we say it has a ghunna sound, comes also from Khayshum, part of it. So we know that that is nowhere near hamza. Where does the hamza come from? Hamza comes from aqsa al-halq, right? So they're really far apart, right? So those are mutabaaidaan, clearly. So for example, a meme and a hamza. But how about, okay, if you look at just the huruf al-halq, this is my drawing of a throat right there. We said there's hamza, ha, ayn, ha, and the ghayn, kha, right? So are we going to say the hamza and the ghayn are qareeb or ba'id? Well, because they have a letter in the middle, these 2 are considered ba'id. Okay? They are considered ba'id for that reason, because they are interrupted by another coming in between. Okay? So that's why these 2 are considered ba'id. Alright? Now, same with Mutaqaaribaan would be the exact opposite. If you have the huruf al-halq and you have a ghain and an ayn, these two are qareeb. There's nothing coming in between them. They're very close. Or if you look at the, don't laugh at my drawings, but this is the tongue and this is the back, and you have qaf and you have kaf, and they're both hitting the soft palate, but the kaf is also hitting the hard palate. These are mutaqaariban, right? Because they're coming from the same makhraj point, but they are not, they're kind of coming from the same makhraj point, right? They kind of, because they're close to each other, kind of. So they're pretty close to each other, pretty close to their makhraj points, and also pretty close in sifat. So that's why it's called close, mutaqaariban. And mutabaaidaan is it's far. So basically in mutabaaidaan you're always going to have idhar. The rule is always going to be idhar for mutabaaidaan, because you always want to pronounce every letter always, unless it has a rule of something coming in there that makes you pronounce it differently from idhar. Alright, that idhar is always the basic rule by which you go by. So for mutaqaariban, the cases in which you have mutaqaariban are for qaf and kaf, just like I just said, qaf and kaf. Alright? So obviously there's many letters that are close to each other, but when we're talking about these specific cases, those actually fall under this rule where then you're going to apply a specific way of recitation. So for qaf and kaf, if we say, for example, naqlukum. Excuse my writing sideways here. You're not going to pronounce the qaf with the qalqala. You're not really going to pronounce the makhraj of the qaf. You're going to drop it and you're going to do idgham kamil, just like in Mutajaanisaan. So naqlukum, naqlukum. Alright? You're not going to pronounce the qaf at all. That is the first case of mutaqaariban, is idgham. In this case you have idgham kamil. The second case where you're also going to have idgham kamil, I'll just put IK, is in al-shamsiyah. Al-shamsiyah and al-qamariyah. So basically, I pulled this up on my Wikipedia. I'm going to show it to you. You can Wikipedia sun and moon letters. And this is they, alright? So the ones in black are the moon letters, also known as huruf al-qamariyah. And the ones in red are known as huruf al-shamsiyah. Alright? And basically what that is huruf al-shamsiyah are the ones where this applies, right? It is al-mutaqaariban rule, and basically it is going to be the rule of idgham kamil applied to it, right? So you basically drop the sound of the lam and you are just going to pronounce the next letter after it. So like ash-shams, I'll write an example here. Ash-shams. You're going to just pronounce a and then straight to this sheen, right? You're not going to say al-shams, you're going to say ash-shams. So that's always, whenever you have alif shamsiyah, you're always going to have, the al-shamsiyah, you're always going to have mutaqaariban case. And the third rule, because there's only three, is a noon or tanween followed by yarmalu. So if you have a noon or a tanween followed by yarmalu. So whenever you have a noon or tanween followed by yarmalu, you always know that it's going to be idgham, right? You're going to have idgham kamil if it's for the ra and the lam following the noon sakin, and if it's the ya, mim, or waw, then you're going to have the idgham nakis. Where's noon? Why isn't it yarmalun? We already know this rule, right? Well, if it was a noon sakin followed by another noon sakin, we would have mutamathilan. Very good. So that's why it doesn't fall under mutaqariban. So this is pretty much a rule you already know of idgham. And so we know that these two cases are idgham kamil. I don't know. Can you see? Oh dear, you haven't been able to see this last bit right there. Okay, there we go. All right. So those two cases are idgham kamil, and then the noon sakin followed by the ya, mim, or waw is idgham nakis. And that's pretty much it. Just so you know, there are other scholars that do bring two other scenarios into mutaqariban, and that would be for a dal sakin and a dad. And some say you would pronounce it faqad dalla, but according to Hafs and Asim, you would pronounce it faqad dalla, right? So, and then the second one that other scholars believe is ta and tha, right? And that they feel like it would be pronounced kadhabat thamudu, but we wouldn't say that. We would say kadhabat thamudu, kadhabat thamudu. So we would pronounce it with izhar. So we are not going to concern ourselves with that. I won't put that on the list. I don't want to confuse you. Hope this was helpful. Inshallah, next we are going to be doing Alaqaat Al Sab'a. Inshallah, see you then. Assalamu alaikum.